All right, my friends, welcome to episode 272 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry, the professor at Prof Plays Games on Twitter. Over there is Anthony, the dev at Summer Speak. Weekend before Christmas. How's it going?
It's going okay. Nothing too crazy. Went and drove around and looked at Christmas lights yesterday because it's
Nice.
the social distance thing that you can do. So we
Yeah,
just
for
all
sure.
hopped in a car and took the ferry across and then drove around a close part of Seattle just looking at Christmas lights.
Yeah, we've talked about doing that. There's like same thing, just go through the neighborhood. It used to be a walking tour neighborhood, and they're like, no, we're doing cars this year. We haven't done it yet. Usually because our daughter, she's now no longer napping and is it's a shit show around 6:30 at night. So that's when we would go out and see the lights. And yeah, we're not sure we're going to deal with that.
Yeah, makes sense.
I might get slapped in the face or something.
Oh, yeah, you never know.
Little hellion.
Yelled.
Speaking of hellions and getting slapped in the face, CD Projekt Red had a week.
Yeah, they
and
did.
We're going to talk all about
Good transition in there. Holy crap.
Thank you.
Why?
I've been living with my thoughts all week. Why don't we start with yours? What the fuck?
We should
look at this.
The complete disconnect between management and the board and the actual team making the game.
Correct. Absolutely.
Like that's basically the main thing, is there just a complete disconnect there, and then you have a board and management not listening to the dev team. Because it's clear that the dev team was like, this is not the fuck ready. Like, we are not going to hit these dates. There is no way. And they've been saying that for like a year.
Mm-hmm. Right, because they were originally saying we're not going to hit the April date. And it's like, okay, we'll move it to the fall. We're still not going to hit that. And I think that differentiation is important too. I think if there is a lot of negative feedback, this podcast, for me at least, mine is aimed directly at the leadership of CD Projekt Red, not the devs.
Yeah, and it's not even completely, it's kind of CDPR. I know there's CD Projekt, which is the owning company. Which I think that's where the board is. But I'd have to look. Some of the head of CD Projekt Red is also on the board. I could be wrong.
It feels like a holding company made up of people who are also in CD Projekt Red. So
yeah, kind of. And I think there are a few people that aren't in CD Projekt Red. But that's the holding company because that's what Good Old Games is under. And
yep,
like the whole.
Who also had a fucking fiasco this week.
Oh yeah, yeah. That whole thing is
devotion,
I haven't done it,
right? They're like,
yeah, devotion. I haven't done enough.
Told us. Go ahead.
Gamers did tell you, Chinese gamers, but
exactly.
Yeah, I haven't done enough research into devotion completely because I know it was on Steam for a bit, and I don't know if Valve had them removed or they removed themselves.
I heard it was the latter. They removed themselves to deal with the issue, basically.
But they're not back on Steam though.
Correct, they're not.
So I don't know enough of the pure history there, but I'm just like, this was not the time to do this. With any company attached to CD Projekt. But yes, for me, I have no real ill against the devs. It sounds very much like the devs were not ready for this game to come out. They knew it was it was in a shouldn't say a non-working state. It works on PS4 and Xbox One, but not well. This is true. This is a weird thing where there's this technicality of, and Rami on Twitter was very clear about these, like even if it had gone through CERT and they didn't skip CERT, CERT wouldn't have necessarily stopped this from coming out. And it's true. CERT doesn't care about performance so much. Even crashes to a point don't matter because they're not sitting it and soaking it for hours to pass CERT. Mm-hmm. They're just running a bank of tests. And if it passes those tests, fine. They don't care about frame rate. They don't care about that performance stuff. They just want to make sure it doesn't brick the console for the most part. And that it boots and it will follow the normal OS requirements of the game. Does it save the game to the right place? Does it cloud save fine? Does it anything that says that it's
file over 8 megabits? Megabytes.
Yeah, things like that. Where although that they wouldn't check that.
Yeah,
they would really just check if it was saving or not, because it's up to the team to solve that. So, yes, most likely this still would have passed CERT and would have been said, this game does technically work on these systems. Does it play well? No, but that's CDPR's problem, and it was CDPR's problem until they said go get refunds.
Boy, they made it Sony's problem. They said, "Oh, what you want refunds? Here's this yellow text with black or yellow
Background with black
square
text.
with black text. Go to the retailers." Sony's digital refund policy is pretty terrible.
Yep.
So they weren't giving refunds, and then it's like, "Oh, Sony's the bad guy," and Sony's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, and there's
plan.
a part of me that feels like they had discussed this. The part that makes me feel like Sony was just getting "fuck you" CDPR was when they posted that announcement that they were pulling Cyberpunk off, delisting it from the store, and would offer refunds for anyone who's played the game, download it digitally and played it. Was that they posted it when it was like 2 or 3 a.m. in Poland, like they clearly probably never told CDPR they were going to post that right then.
Well, the CD Projekt the next day had their it was like a shareholders meeting, and
Yeah.
they asked specifically, and they said we didn't talk to Sony or Microsoft about the refund policy.
Yeah,
They didn't talk to them.
yeah.
They threw their partners under the bus and thought that would be fine.
Yeah,
Like,
and then yeah. Well, there's that, the refund, and then it was definitely the statement, because I've seen people like, well, of course Sony's going to pull this off, because basically you have the developer and publisher saying, hey, we don't have faith in our game. Why is Sony going to put that in front of customers to buy?
Right.
Just so they can get it refunded again? No. Like, Sony, like, yeah, that's how this works. If you're going to tell your customers that, like, we'd love it if you stick around, but we understand if it's not up to the right quality, get a refund. It's like, then Sony's not even going to sell it. Why would they?
That was such a weird statement too, because like we want you to give us a chance. Like they fucking gave you a chance when they gave you $60 for this fucking game.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm sure the refunds are getting abused because Amazon and Best Buy, at least retail wise, and then of course all the digital storefronts are allowing you to refund. That doesn't matter if it's 2 hours or not. So I'm sure there are people who have beaten the game or Critical Path at least, and are like, I'll get my money back and then pick it up later or never pick it up again.
So I mean that's sure that's happening. The number this was thrown around is that they pre-sold 8 million copies.
Right.
I have a feeling that even with all these refunds, at most they're going to see 2 million copies refunded. At most.
You think so? Okay.
At most, it could be a small fraction even then.
Even if you say that let's assume the pre-sales were evenly split between console and PC, that would mean 4 million on console. You'd think 2 million probably aren't refunding on console.
I would say 1 million.
I can see
refunding on console.
Because I can see PC people for the most part not refunding because I think it mainly works on PC, or at least it works a lot better.
It works. We'll get into it because I've been playing a lot of it, and I can say that.
And
I
refunded mine. I played 116 minutes, so just under 2 hours, and it just wasn't the game that I thought it was going to be. But I had no bugs. Like it ran fine.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up later, I think.
Honestly, I just go with the statement of like, we are watching this news. Most people who got this physical through a store or anything like for console or even digital don't follow news. They got a game and they're just playing it. Like
I think the same thing. I think you're right. There's one thing that made me like pause for a moment with that thought is my brother, who doesn't follow gaming news, is playing something on Valhalla on Xbox. And he's like, when I'm done with this, I'm going to pick up CD Projekt Red. And I was like, oh. He's like, I'm going to wait a little bit till it's running better. And I was like, okay, how do you know about that? He's like, oh, I've heard about it. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have heard about it, but in general, refunds aren't used. Like, even on refund rates are already pretty small percentage-wise. So even them saying, hey, refund this, and it doubles the number of people that get refunds, it's still less than 10%. Like, normal refund rates are like less than 5%. Normally.
Yeah, I mean, I've only refunded one game on Steam that was just wouldn't play.
Yeah, I've refunded.
This is only the second one I've ever refunded.
One, and then because I just got it and then I started playing, I was like, this is not at all what I thought this game was going to be. It was like within 15 minutes going like, I thought I was getting one thing. This is my bad. I read stuff wrong on this. I should have watched other things. Let's just get rid of this right now. It may have been a great game. I don't know, but it was not what I wanted. So I just don't think it's gonna hurt. This is hurting stock price more, but I actually, when the time comes out and like total numbers sold, I bet it's still going to be well over 6 million, if not 7.
In terms of pre-order, you mean?
Yeah, just when next time they say number of units sold will be, like they said 8 pre-order. I have a hard time seeing people at this point how long people had waited. Like, I feel like if 8 million people have pre-ordered, you probably don't have a lot of people just picking it up on day one out of the blue. I bet most of your audience pre-ordered at that point.
Yeah, I didn't pre-order. I picked it up after.
Sure.
But I think you're right. Most people, I mean, this is such a fever pitch for this game that most people were not waiting for reviews.
Yeah.
Based on the strength of Witcher 3, I totally understand.
Yeah.
And that stock price, man, it was $33 at the beginning of the week, and right now it's $18.50.
Yep.
And I'm trying to buy some because I think it's a decent gamble that they're going to fix it within 6 months, and that price is going to stabilize a bit. Because that's low. That tanked.
I mean, I feel like it's going to go back up.
Not the 33.
No, but it will go back up because they're going to do, like, if they follow through and do their big patch in January and a big patch in February, and they start building some of that goodwill back, it will go back up. Even if it's not a huge amount of goodwill, like, the stock price will stabilize more because it's like, oh yeah, they're following through, they're putting stuff in, they're making the game better. But holy shit.
Well, for me, I'm gonna buy some, 10 to 30 shares, and I'm just gonna stash it and not think about it until the eve of Witcher 4, because I think that's probably when it's gonna be higher again, and just not even look at it. If you buy stocks, you can't look. You just don't. You have to walk away.
That's a good reason. I bet Witcher 4 is at least 6 to 8 years out at this point. So that's a reasonable amount of time to keep a hold of a stock. Dude,
I told you all off mic, but we bought Qualcomm like 7 years ago for $40, and my whole, for me, stocks are like gambling. My gambling is when I double my money, I walk away no matter what, and it finally doubled. We're at a point where I could actually cash out, and it was right before the end of the quarter. And now Qualcomm, 2 months after selling it, it's 145, and I sold it for 90. Just like, oh, I should have waited. But
I guess so. But you still made money. So that's the thing. I did, yes. You're not sure. You could have made more money, but
followed my rule. But ouch!
The fact that you actually still made money is great.
Yes, exactly. Although I did sell everything but one stock just because I couldn't quite part with it all. I wanted to see, so I guess we'll keep that one stock.
There you go.
Anyway, we'll follow my Cyberpunk or CD Projekt Red stock price for the next 7 years, like you say.
Yeah, this has just been insane, and it's super unprecedented for Sony to pull a game, just straight up delist a game.
I'm sure they've delisted games that are smaller, right? But nothing like this.
No, nothing that they have marketed that was a splash page on the PS5.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, because I was earlier this week, it was like the day after they delisted it, the PS5 Explore page had Cyberpunk as its like main feature. And I was like, ooh, that's not good.
Whoops.
But yeah, that kind of just shows how much of a shit show this entire thing has been for everybody. Microsoft I don't think really could delist it because they are co-marketing partners with CD Projekt on this whole thing, and that would look really weird. And I'm sure there's just contracts with them on, but they also have been very open to their refund policy on it. Although it does sound like it runs...
Sounds like it runs the best on Xbox Series X of any console.
Yeah, Series X, which doesn't surprise me. And then the Series S and X run it fine, but even the Xbox One X runs it quite a bit better than the Xbox One. There's just not a lot of Xbox Ones out there, so...
Right. You mean Xbox Series X's, you mean?
No, Xbox One. The original one.
You don't think there are a lot of Xbox Ones out there?
No.
Really?
They did not sell that many.
I mean, are you you're right, but are you comparing it to like just other consoles like PS4, or are you comparing it to like Xbox Series X?
No, just to the PS4 and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft's ecosystem of consoles. Like, the entire Xbox old generation and with the Series, there's more One X probably than ones at this point. There's probably a bunch of 1S's, actually. Because those are cheap.
I got one of those. Yeah, cheap. That's why I got mine. It was like $200, I think.
I'll probably run it like crap. But
oh god, I'm just not even
Digital Foundry's been having a day with all of this. This past week, they put out tons of videos of just like let's play Cyberpunk and compare it on all the platforms. Oh boy.
You're talking about Digital Foundry, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been having fun. In
Yeah,
one
watch
way
a few of
showing
those
off the
videos, man.
poor performance, but then on the PC side being like, let's show off ray tracing because
Yeah.
they're like, this is a game that we can show off ray tracing. Like, we're gonna pull out our 3090, we're gonna the best PC we can, and we're gonna turn everything to ultra, still bring the computer to its knees, but look at how amazing this looks. And it does.
Right.
It looks incredible.
It does.
And I must say, when I've been playing it, I mean, I have my 2060 Super, but I have all the ray tracing on, and then I have lighting at medium, and it does look incredible. Like, not everything, like, it's noticeable whenever you look at things and you're like, wow, that's really low quality, like the hamburgers and the food.
Oh my god, they're French fries. Ooh.
It's terrible. Like, they're noticeable, and you're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Maybe that was just like, well, we'll come back to that later, and they never came back to it with like many things in the game. But when you're like just driving around the streets and it's like raining, the like ray trace lighting with reflections and shadow, it looks incredible. Like one of the best looking games I've ever seen, which is great, but that is hampered by so many missing things. But I don't know. This game will grow and will get better, I guess, over time.
Their reputation is at stake. That it has to, or they have to go away.
Yes,
I don't know.
It's true.
I mean,
they
a little extreme, but that's how I see it. Like they have to fix this, or they're fucking done. Like, what do you have?
Continued sales of Witcher 3, because that's the other thing that kills me is they never had to release this game. They were in the black from just sales of the Witcher property and Witcher 3 games. Like that was financing the entire company without issue. They have so much in the bank over the years.
Right.
Because the TV show came out, and guess what? Sales of the Witcher games bumped right back up again. And season 2 of that's going to come out, and it's going to happen again. There's no reason why I can't even understand why the board was like, we have to release this. I get that there's like the negative pushback, and sure, your stock might take a little bit of a hit while you're like, yeah, we're delaying longer. But fine, like, it's better to delay than come out and have all this shit happen.
Dude, especially the share. I don't think it was this, but the shareholders were like, "You got to do it so we can get the money or whatever." Like, you guys lost your money. This is terrible.
Yeah.
This is mismanaged, like completely. Like, I don't know if it's like hubris of the leaders who are like, "No, we're good. We know best." But fuck, I've never seen anything this terrible. And how many rakes they've stepped on this week is unbelievable.
I think there is one. The rakes they're stepping on this week is, to me, feels a lot like flailing in a lot of ways. They just don't. But I think releasing the game was hubris of being like, or not releasing, being like, we can finish this game in this time frame. We made this other huge game that's done great. We can do this. And it's clear that the scope that they were going for with Cyberpunk is a much different scope than the Witcher games were in most ways. Like, the actual act of making a living city is way more work than making a lot of open worlds. And there were some big cities in Witchers. Was it Novigrad?
Novigrad. Mm-hmm.
But it's not a simulated city.
No.
Not even close. I mean, they have NPCs walking around and everything, but there's no simulation. It's a set piece that you go to. Same things are always in the same places going on. So that's a much different. You didn't go
into that game expecting that.
Yeah. And so it's a much different scope when you're like, hey, our entire game is set in an enormous city where we want the city to be its own character and living. And when you think about it, I'm like, well, not a lot of companies have ever even done that. I mean, Rockstar is like the only one I can think of with the GTA games.
Yep.
And their team is A, bigger than CD Projekt to make those games. And B, they have a lot of experience making those type of games.
Right.
So I think there was hubris believing that they could just be like, yeah, we'll make this. We can do this. It's like, I'm sure you can. It's going to take a lot more time for you, though, to make this the first time.
Well, especially with this year where you're all working from home, like that's going to add years to this process that
honestly they should have
accounted for with some of the delays.
They should have just
really
blamed it on COVID.
Wait another year.
Really, that was their perfect out, being like, "Hey, COVID happened. We're delaying a year."
Yeah, sorry, it'll be out fall 2021, and like their valuation would have taken a small hit, maybe, but And the regard from gamers maybe would have taken a small hit and then normalized. They would have gotten their stupid, death threats that stupid people do.
Sure,
Um,
whatever.
But Jesus Christ, all of that is preferable to what the fuck is like your company is in the fucking dust. And other companies like EA or Ubisoft or whatever, I don't know if they are or not doing this, but like I feel like some of like the cheeky social media kind of like taking digs at other companies for being greedy and all these other things like it keeps resurfacing now and just biting them in the ass.
Kind of.
Just it comes down to hubris like we were talking about, even in that.
And I think it was. And I think this is... we'll see if this is a very humbling experience for them or not. Because it should be. I also hope that the team stays around because I could see a lot of the team leaving, honestly.
Yeah, totally. Like, this is no longer something you get to put on your resume and say, I helped develop like Cyberpunk 2077. It's like, oh, okay, well, we know how that went.
Well, look, I crunched for how much time? And this is what happens? Fuck that. I'm out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That too.
This is how people leave the industry. Straight up just leave the industry.
Like, I'm going to go code for Excel because that's going to be less stressful.
Yeah.
The one of the heads, Adam, I don't remember his last name, was there's a news article about him liking a ton of tweets basically dissing on my PlayStation for not doing refunds and all this shit. And it's just like, what are you doing, you fucking moron?
Yeah.
Like, that's such unnecessary stupidity.
Yep. There's just a lot of that.
But have you finished the game?
Nope.
Okay.
Which is funny. I've played 65 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I hit the point. I finished the main, like there was like 3 main threads that you have to finish. And then I was like, oh, cool, there's another mission. I go to it and it pops up the thing saying like, hey, this is the point of no return, basically. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, nope, not doing that right now. And then I wanted to go finish character side quests. And so I've done a bunch of side quests. I think I've finished all the main side character quests. I might only have one more to do. But then while those have been happening, I've just been doing like the side gigs and the random police encounters that show up or like that are like, hey, there's an assault going on here. Go stop it.
Right.
Just doing this random stuff. I'm having a blast doing it. All I know from the ending was like, hey, do the side things because that will affect your choices you have in the ending. So I just wanted to do that before diving into that final mission. I'm like level 38 now, which is ridiculous because most people I know finish the game when they're like level 20. And I have a friend who told me it was basically like, you're going to wreck the end of the final mission of this game. Because I'm pretty fucking...
so over-leveled.
I'm so goddamn strong right now. That's awesome. Just run into crap and I'm hacking everything like... Because I took a hacking build. So my intelligence is max now. I've basically bought every perk in the hacking tree. I do so much damage with my hacks. I don't really run out of RAM. I'm basically a mage, just fireballing everything all the time. My weapons are ridiculous. So it's fun from a power fantasy, but this is also where I'm like, okay, I've played enough to realize that this game is... Last week, I think I said it was 90% done. I think it's 80% done. There's a lot missing once you start looking at it closer. Key thing that is my prime example is you can't change your appearance after the start. It's a cyberpunk fucking game. You can chrome yourself out with cybernetic limbs and exoskeletons and eyeballs and like swap all that stuff out, but you can't change your appearance.
Yeah, that's so bizarre. Dumb. What a weird choice.
I mean, clearly this is where I'm like, they cut things because that had to have been in there, and they're just like, we have to cut that. Because they even talk about other characters changing their appearance. I can't say I got far enough where they talk. I did a lot of quests for another character who was then revealed to be transgender, who has gone through transition, which was because there was talk. I don't think a lot of the reviewers in the time they got would have been able to do this quest line. Like it was very side. It was a bunch of races that you have to do. And it was, I'm like, because there was talk and stuff of being like, man, there's just not really good trans representation here by any of the characters. I'm like, no, this was a good representation here in a way of like who this character was and then how she acted and everything. It was like, oh, you're a good character. who is nice, who has ideals and morals, and like is like a character you really like, that actually happens to be trans too. Like, oh my god, this is what people wanted to see. Why isn't this much earlier in the game?
I'd be curious if the trans community is like dug into that character, because it's definitely being labeled as in some way transphobic in either the marketing beforehand or
there's definitely
or the way that
there
the
is definitely
portrayed,
stuff in there that is. It's just this character, which I don't think, unless you play far enough in the game, you'll ever come across.
Mm-hmm.
They have a bunch of storyline once you get to them, and I think that's another problem I'm finding with the game, is that I'm now 65 hours in. It's not clear to me if I'm done with all the side character stuff, because they call you randomly at times. So I'll just be doing other things, and I'll get a call being like, "Oh, I guess I still have more quests with this character." So it becomes.
Did you finish the quest line for like Pan Am or?
Yeah,
Judy?
I did. Yep, I've done Pan Am and Judy. I romanced Judy. Did Pan Am, finished Judy's. Did that. I've one more mission, I believe, with Carrie, and then one more mission with. No, I finished River as well. And then there's been side quests with these. This, like I said, sometimes there's just this random stuff that pops up that you get a call, and it's just like, hey, there's this new character. They're asking you to do something, and then it becomes like a 4 or 5 quest chain.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing showing that. There's nowhere on the map to go to initiate that mission. It just happens sometimes. So I don't know where there more things will happen, because I've helped a pop star out doing things. That's been like 3 or 4 missions. The racing I saw was the waitress at Afterlife. That became like a multi-pronged, like 4 or 5 mission thing that took me all over the city, doing all sorts of different things. It's random whenever you come across stuff of like, oh, this is going to be a short thing or this one-off thing, and it becomes this very long question. Very CD Projekt in some ways. Like, it feels like the pipeline for making quests was very good, and they could just make this stuff.
Do you find the variability between side quests implies that different teams were taking on different side quests, perhaps, or they all
possibly
kind of across the board feel pretty good?
I mean, some of them are just trivial and simple. Really are just one-off. Like, go in, do the thing, you'll get a call, it's done.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to time of like either different teams working on, or they prioritized. Like, okay, we want to have X number of medium-sized ones. We know that these are like main side character stories. I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's clear to me that they have the tools to make quests pretty ingrained into that engine, and it could just be done.
It does feel like the bones are there, and then, like you said last week or a week before, in a year, like this could be like a great game. I just popped open my PS4 app to see if anyone I know is playing it, and one of my friends is playing on I think he's got a PS4 Pro. I'll have to get a hold of him and see what he thinks.
I had a friend beat it on PS4 Pro. Said it was fine.
And
he'd spent about 50 hours into it and finished it. He's like, yeah, there were performance stuff, but he was able to finish it. And he had some hilarious bugs, but no crashes or anything for him. But nothing, also nothing that blocked his progress. He's just like, there was one time he's like, yeah, I got in a car with River, and he was talking to me as we were driving. He was driving someplace else, except he wasn't slowing down and just mowing over pedestrians and hitting cars the entire way. Yeah, and continuing to talk. Like, what? And the dude was like, is this normal? I don't know. He said it was just, once he realized it was just a bug and stuff, it was just hilarious, because it was just like the normal quest dialogue going on while just innocents are dying, cars are being shoved off the road. And he's a cop too.
Well, and it's great when it's every once in a while and funny. Like that's okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of bugs.
Stops you from playing, that sucks.
Nothing has stopped me from playing on the PC, but there are a lot of just random little bugs all over the place. That do take you out of the moment at times. So yeah, it's a thing. It's definitely, I think, 80% done for the most part. Driving doesn't feel that good overall.
Mm-hmm.
The cop stuff is just dumb, which is totally just a thing of, there's a lot of things in the game that feel like we just had to have something here, or this was the placeholder thing that we had that we were hoping to come back to and fix and make better, but we never got that time. So
Not
this
just
is
have the
what,
cops spawn behind you.
yeah, this is just what we had in place right now. Because there's not that. It feels like there's a bunch of stuff cut around like buying and upgrading apartments. There's enough small things that make me feel like there was a lot of content there that was just stripped out or just turned off, that wasn't done.
Right.
So there's that. Yeah, car things are weird. The UI feels like it needed at least another 2 or 3 passes to make it really shine and feel usable in most ways. Like, it's functional, but it's really cumbersome at times. The amount of menus I have to shift back and forth through to get the information that I want.
Right.
It's just frustrating in that regard. Doesn't stop me from playing, doesn't stop me from enjoying. It's just like, God damn it. All right, go to this menu. Okay. Oh, nope. Go back to this menu. Go to the backpack. Okay. Look. Nope. Okay. Back to the crafting menu. Cool. There's in like, wait, this isn't giving me the information I need, so I need to go look at this other screen. Yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot of good, solid bones there. There's just not a lot. There's a lot on top of it that is just feels very placeholder or is buggy. But my worry is the fact that they've cut out a bunch of stuff that will never be able to go back into the game. Because I think they cut out a bunch of stuff in the main quest.
Oh no! Like, we got to ship this, so let's just cut the story and make it fucking weird. Well,
there's a couple.
Are you saying
points,
that because like the montage, like cut shit out at the beginning?
The montage at the beginning, for sure. I'm like, this has to have been cut content. But just how quickly it seemed like it's going to wrap up to that final mission seemed like I did these 3, and that was cool. And now I'm in the final mission. It seemed very abrupt that I'm going to be finishing the story. And maybe that's a couple hours to finish it, but still, it feels like, there should be another few rounds of quests and something going on before I got to this final point. So I don't know. There's part of me that feels like there's stuff that got cut there that probably never goes back into the game, honestly, because I doubt that they expand that main story.
Right, that seems like a hard thing to do. Like, to fill in the pieces that you cut out that seem awkward. You're filling out around the edges and building in the things that are missing, like in the world or the barbershops or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like, barbershops are fine. The world's fine. I think there's balancing issues with when I was saying that it's like a power fantasy now, I think there's just some pretty wild balancing issues with the skills and everything. I think the crafting system actually sucks, unfortunately. Unfortunately, because you craft something and you out-level it so fast. And it's really hard and really expensive to keep a weapon or item up to your level. To makes it almost not worth it. You're just waiting for the next thing, which is really sad when you get really cool, iconic, like legendary iconic weapons that you're like, but I want to keep using this because I like it. But I can't because the weapons that are dropping are like dropping at double the DPS of this gun. So, well, guess that thing goes away. Because upgrading it upgrades it at such marginal amounts that it's just not worth it to try. So there's just some balancing stuff there that seems a little wrong. I don't know. They're just pieces that make me sad that things got cut in sort of ways. But then again, I'm also putting 65 hours into it and having a good old time.
And you're not saying to yourself, I could be having a better time. Like, this is worth the wait for the most part.
Yeah, I'm having a great time with it. Is it game of the year? Not even close. Is it one of the best games of the year? Probably not. But it's better than most other Cyberpunk games that have ever come out. So,
right.
Which isn't a super high bar, to be honest.
I was going to ask you, because if you log into Steam, you're playing through GOG, right?
Yeah, I am playing through GOG.
Let's see if I can pull it up. So I opened, I wish I'd sent you all a picture. It was because you play Cyberpunk, you might like Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It was like, this was not the title, but it was like Cyberpunk and Big Titties, and it was just like a fucking like porno game. I guess it was because of that fucking Doki Doki Literature Club plus Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
So check this out. Oh man, it was very weird.
I will say that like Cyberpunk 2077, I feel has been better than like the newer Deus Exes overall. There's just more to do than those games and kind of realizes itself more than that. Thinking of other Cyberpunk FPS type stuff. The original Deus Ex is really good still, but it just shows its age, unfortunately. That's probably my closest mapping of Cyberpunk 2077 is it feels a lot like the original Deus Ex in its approach to world building and mission design. Just giving you a lot of freedom to be like, just figure it out, do what you want to do. So that's always felt good. Yeah, I don't know. I like it, but it's flawed. It's very, very flawed and very unfinished, which is sad. Like I said, though, at times it's gorgeous to just look at and just exist in the city with like on my PC with ray tracing on.
Right.
Just like, yeah, this looks like a real futuristic dystopia city. Neon everywhere. I will say more and more, like playing through farther and farther, the actual quest writing is really well done.
That's good to know.
It's not really over the top. It actually feels really good. It's really poignant at times. The characters are really good. Pan Am as a character, Judy as a character, all these River and are really cool characters that you're like. And there's a lot of times where the game slows down and just lets you exist with these characters, like just sitting down for a meal and talking. And it's good. Voice acting is good across the board. Female V, fucking amazing. Goddamn.
Did you know she's in Persona 5?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked up the voice actress. She's in a bunch of stuff. She's in a ton of stuff. She has been voice acting for a long time, and she is so good in this game.
I was listening to the MinMax show or Beastcast. I can't remember which one it was. Maybe it was even Triple Click, but it was Triple Click, I think. They played the same voice lines from the female and the male, and the male was all right, but like the female voice actor, they were noting like she's done voice acting for a very long time. The male actor does movies and TV, doesn't do voice acting, and it fucking shows how much she can act with just a few like lines, you know.
Yep. Her tone is great in so many times. I will say I really like Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand. Silverhand is a dick, but in the right way. Like, I'm just like, you're such a dick. And also I love it when your character V calls him out on being a dick, being like, God damn it, stop being an asshole. And he becomes less of an asshole is the thing. Like, you play the game and that's maybe you rubbing off on him some, on his personality that's in your head of being like, but I think like you need someone like Keanu Reeves that can actually like be that asshole while still being charismatic and still being likable. You're like, God, you're an asshole, but yeah, you can still talk. It's cool. And I feel like Keanu Reeves gives the lines, like he is giving a good performance in it. So he's not half-assing this or just phoning this character in. He actually is there for it. So more power to him.
Well, and the soundtrack, right, is also a high point of this game.
Soundtrack is really good. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of high points. It's just the fact that they didn't finish it. And they were forced to put this goddamn thing out.
Yep. By no one besides themselves.
Yeah. Because this is the thing. I'm like, God, you just delay this and take the time you need to actually finish each of these components. And weirdly, maybe actually just don't release it on PS4 anymore. Say it, right. We're sorry. Like, we know we promised this on the last gen consoles, but we can't. Like, it's ballooned in size and scope. We cannot make it run on these consoles, and it will not be a good experience for you. So, we'll cancel everyone's pre-orders. I mean, they just say there's not going to be a PS4 version and an Xbox One version. Those pre-orders just get canceled. Yes, it's less money for them, but I think it's a better result than what they have now. Or they take the year and they figure out a way that they can make it function at least at 30 frames per second on those consoles. Even if it doesn't look incredible. But I don't see how this game even remotely runs on old consoles at all. Even if they do performance increases, it's going to be noticeably worse looking, like really worse looking on PS4 and Xbox One. There's no way around it. There's too many textures. The hardware itself will not have the capability to run this at, I think what they would hope it could run at. So cut your losses, but.
Well, especially if it's going to hamstring you on moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, they won't, but PC is definitely the place to play it, or wait for the PS5 and Series X specific versions of the game, which at this point are probably farther off now, I would think. Maybe they'll show up fall next year. I don't know.
I can't really see it before then.
No, it's going to be really important to them to not release anything super extra. No, none of that promised DLC. None of the multiplayer stuff that was talked about before. None of the the Series X or PS5 version before they make this version work.
Yeah, they said as much in the stockholder meeting. They asked about multiplayer, and they're like, "Nope, we are fixing this shit."
Yeah, and as a company, they have to. Like,
yeah.
You cannot be seen that you're putting this on the back burner to fix this. This needs to be priority number one until it is honestly, now you have a good metric in a state where Sony will list it again.
Yeah, I wonder what their threshold's going to be now.
It's probably going to be a lot.
Yeah.
But that's
because that's going to be the signal, like, this is fixed,
Yeah, and so that there's your bar, and you do not need to do anything else until you hit that bar. Make the game function at that. Then add in whatever your DLCs, your free DLCs are going to be. But my God, and right now I don't know if management would do that because they're all doing the wrong things right now. So
I wonder so many things.
Yeah.
I don't know where else to take this conversation. I think we said a lot. I'm glad that you're enjoying the writing. That says a lot to me.
I am. I think
I'm looking for.
It is generally really good. It's like, I would say in my head, I feel like there's a little bit less options than like Witcher and like your navigation through conversations. But I like the conversations that I'm having here. And I do have specific things I can say. Your background really does play a lot into a lot of conversations. Like, I'm Nomad, and I've been able to use my Nomad background a ton in conversations throughout the game, and it's felt great. Which is actually, I think last week I said I was like, I wish I knew more about my character.
You did.
I still don't know a lot, but I've learned more through these conversations where I'm like, oh, I pick a Nomad thing, and V talks about her Nomad background. About like, well, this is what happened to my Nomad tribe and why I left, and you kind of start getting that backstory as you talk to other characters and tell them about it, which is honestly probably a pretty good way to go about it. It's either have me read something as the player read, or have something shown to me up front, or it's just going to come to light as I interact with other characters. And it's fine as I'm interacting with others. I don't think it's really, I have a huge amount. I wish there were more, but I at least kind of have an understanding of what happened. And honestly, the Pan Am storyline helped a bunch with that, because Pan Am is a nomad, and you're working with nomad clans there, tribes, and you can talk about being a nomad a lot with them, and you explain what's going on, why you're there, and why you're not with a tribe anymore, and like, using your previous experience as like why they should make certain decisions. So it was a nice reveal that way, but I kind of still want more in some ways.
Right. I wonder, with the amount of content that you've kind of churned through, it doesn't feel like you're going to get any of that with the final, finishing the main quest, I guess. So I wonder if that will pop in later, like when they finish some of those shards, if any of that story comes up through shards. Probably not. That's more like world building background.
Yeah, there's so many goddamn shards.
Yeah, I ran into like fucking 40 in the hour and 2 hours I played.
I've got hundreds.
Yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of shards. And I'm not reading
any
all
that
of
are
them.
like not finished. Have you seen any of those placeholder ones?
I haven't looked hard enough for it, because I've got to the point where I'm just not reading anymore. I'm just like, God, there's so many of these. I can't read all this. Yeah. Of course, there's placeholder ones. The game's not done.
Yeah. Right. That should be the title of this podcast. Cyberpunk 2077. The game is not done.
Nope.
So
honestly, and they could even just say, "Hey, we're going to call this early access now."
Like Microsoft has that, Xbox has that, Steam has that, like Epic has that.
Yeah, you're listed on PS4 now anyway, so just call it early access.
So it doesn't matter.
This is like a beta.
Totally right.
Because I know this would be more than alpha, because alpha is when you can play through the entire game beginning to end, which you can. But it's not done. I'm pretty sure this would just be a beta at this point.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Man, imagine how the conversation would be different if it wouldn't be on PS4, obviously, but if they had just said, you know what, we want to hit our date. It's not done. It's early access.
Yeah, we want feedback. We'll just start I mean, they're not a studio designed to do this or
Yeah.
um,
Especially to pivot that quickly, I guess.
pivot. Like, they would never do it, but I think it would have been for a studio that could pivot that quickly and have some setup, or at least know this was coming. You could do really well with that and be like, hey, we're gonna set this up. We're gonna start taking feedback on like the systems and how they're working, and they could probably learn a ton and make a pretty amazing game. And by the end of it, look at Hades. Honestly, um,
Yeah.
it can work if you decide to do it. And yeah, like I said though, they clearly aren't a studio that's set up to do that though. So, but at this point, I would still just say, hey, it's a beta right now. You'll get the full game in a while, but we'll continue to add and iterate and improve things. But it's not done.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they're going to do anyways. Might as
Yeah,
well call
basically.
it that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do this next week to like build goodwill. I think they should just shut up and do it. I mean, I know people just ripped Hello Games for this, but Sean Murray and company they just stopped talking. They just put their heads down and worked, and that was it.
And they've continued to do that, and they only announce what they're putting into the game about a week before it comes out.
Right. And that game is incredible now. So
yeah, so they can do it. So I don't know. So that's all I've been playing this past week.
Well, might as well roll into what I've been playing.
Yeah.
Couple of different things. I first want to start off with Smash Brothers because I don't know if you saw the Sephiroth.
I did see the Sephiroth thing.
I didn't hear you. You broke up. What?
Yeah, I saw Sephiroth.
You saw the Sakurai thing though. His whole thing.
Oh no, I didn't see the Sakurai thing.
Yeah, he basically showed off the character and all the moves, and basically said it's coming out. It comes out on the 23rd or 22nd. But between the date of the Mr. Sakurai Presents Sephiroth, which was the 17th, and the 22nd, there's a special event in Smash Brothers called Sephiroth Challenge, which is basically like they set it up as like a boss battle, where if you beat Sephiroth, then you can unlock him early, which is really cool. So I went in there and did that today. Wasn't too hard. It was a HP battle, so it's just whoever gets down to 0 first wins or loses. So I have him unlocked. He's really cool. He has some cool different moves. His Masamune, I think is what his sword's called, right?
Maybe.
Is fucking long, huge.
Yes, his sword is huge.
That sword is huge. But the new stage, if you didn't see this, is based on the end of Final Fantasy VII, so it's like a spoiler for the whole ending, where I guess the meteor's coming and crashing to the earth or whatever, kind of thing, and he's trying to, that's the whole background, and it's this moving background. So that's cool. I've been playing that. I picked up Immortals Phoenix Rising from the Epic Store. I'd played that with UB Plus for a little bit. Runs great on my laptop, and it's fucking awesome. It's really fun. It is, if you do a couple of things, it's really fun. But it looks like Breath of the Wild. It plays like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I think that the narrators are interesting enough. But they have this thing called True Scope, which you basically can look through, the telescope to like mark the environment to put pins down like in Breath of the Wild. But they add a second thing where your controller vibrates and you can hold right trigger and then it puts a pin on your map of what the thing is. Like, oh, it's a chest. Oh, it's a shrine. Oh, it's whatever. And you can just litter your map with that shit. And then the exploration, like see a cool thing, go toward it, is totally gone because you know it's there before you get there. So just don't use that, folks. And the exploration is much more fun. Combat's fun. It runs, it can run up to 90 frames a second, which is great. It's really smooth. I've put probably 2 hours into it so far, and it's having played the same amount of time with Valhalla, this is the one I want to play. It's really good. So it's on sale on Epic right now, so I think it's worth it, especially with that $10 coupon. So you get it for 30. And then I have played Travis and I last night got back into Ghost of Tsushima Legends to do the requisite missions to unlock the new costumes that they put in the game. There's one for Horizon Zero Dawn, one for Shadow of the Colossus, one for Bloodborne, and one for God of War for each of the 4 classes. So we were in there getting those unlocks last night, and that was a lot of fun. That Legends mode is really fun. Co-op, kind of darker Ghost of Tsushima storyline. And then there was something else that I was playing, and I totally forgot. Oh, yeah. So after I finished playing with Travis last night, it was probably like an hour till I decided I'd go to bed. So I wanted to play something that I can kind of jump into. So I picked up Diablo 3 and continued my seasonal character. And damn, that game is so good. It's still so good. I played much longer than I needed to. And I guess I was going to ask you about the seasons. Like it's like broken into chapters, I guess. And you'd complete like the 9 quests or whatever, and you get like one piece of armor or whatever when you complete the chapter.
Eventually, I think I would have to look at what I think it's chapters 2, 3, and 4 give you the armor pieces.
And what does 1 give you? Nothing.
Nothing. It's just part of the progress.
Mm.
I think 1 is getting you to level 70.
Okay.
I think that was like these are the things you just have to do to get to level 70.
Mm-hmm.
And get your like craftsman to the max level, the whole thing. And then 2 is like doing specific like adventure mode type just aspects of that. And then you finish that, and then you get 2 pieces. You finish chapter 3, you get two pieces, and chapter 4 you get 2 pieces.
Okay. I'm playing Demon Hunter, which I never played before, and the rapid fire is fucking awesome. It's just like a machine gun.
Yep.
just like shooting shit everywhere. I really like the interplay of the skills, and it's nice to play through a character I've actually never played before. So hoping to do more of that. And then the other thing I played this week was Hades. Finally booted that back up after a month. I just did a bunch of darkness runs just to increase the amount of darkness I had to spend on upping my health, basically. So I've upped my health quite a bit. And I was going to ask you, I'm going to play around after tonight because I want to finish a run before we do Game of the Year because it's floating toward the top for me. What charm? I think they're called charms. Like, what charms do you use?
Oh, you mean like what you from the
when
cabinet,
you give a gift, right?
The cabinet stuff.
Yeah. Like,
so when I beat it, I used the feather duster.
From
Dusa's maxed out because you get like 15 health per thing that drops. I think food that drops. Okay. It doesn't seem like it's going to do a lot, but it really helped me get through to the end originally. Now I use all sorts of different charms when I play.
Okay, so
I don't need that health.
I haven't really used that one.
Yeah. And you usually can find a piece of health like every room or so.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just this nice passive healing as you're getting through the game. Again, it's not as noticeable, but it helps. I'm trying to think of other ones that helped me along because there was a time whenever I would be like, fine, when I go to Elysium, I'm going to switch to Feather Duster. I'm at Elysium, and then I think that was when I was starting to like shape my runs, where I'd be like, oh, I'm going to take this god to start, so I can get a boon from them, and then in Tartarus, is it Tartarus? Asphodel. I'll switch to a different god that I know synergizes with the god that I did at first, and then I'll get to Elysium and do the Feather Duster and know that I have roughly a good build.
Right.
So there is some strategy there. If you're feeling like you're losing a lot of life early on through Tartarus and Asphodel, then just keep the Feather Duster on the entire time.
Yeah, maybe I'll level that up a little bit tonight.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's good.
So.
That's a good starting one. I'm trying to think of other good starting charms. I have to look. Hades charms. Keepsakes. That's what they are. I stopped using the spiked collar pretty early.
Yeah, because I use that a lot.
And eventually it just becomes 50 health isn't that great in the end. Like you would get, if you can survive, the Feather Duster is probably going to give you 150 to 200 health through the entire run, rather than just 50 up front. Don't use the Myrmidon Bracer from, you probably don't know that one yet. Black Shawl from Nyx.
From Nyx, I have that.
It's not, I don't use that. Do you have the Pierced Butterfly from Thanatos?
I just got that.
So it seems good, but it's probably the only thing with like there's a couple that work this way of like Pierced Butterfly, and then trying to think there's another one. I think it's Hermes, the Lambent, that as if you do encounters correctly, either take no damage or quickly, depending on which of the keepsakes, they give you bonus percentage increases to different things, but you have to keep the keepsake equipped the entire run to get that bonus. So you really have to be like, I'm going all in on this for the entire thing, and I just don't think it's advanced to use that. Like they're advanced keepsakes. I'm trying to think, then you have all the normal stuff. Where I have, do you have Eurydice's one yet? The Acorn?
Yes, I also just got that one.
So if you get that one charged up, and that can be a really good one for Elysium and the final boss in Elysium because
Okay.
it can make it so that you ignore the first 5 times you're hit in a boss fight. Just
Right.
straight
Yeah,
up
that's what.
ignore the damage for 5 times. It's also so my normal runs when I was learning the game was Feather Duster, and then I would do the Acorn in sticks, so I could ignore hate a couple hits from Hades. Because Hades, when he hits you, deals a lot of damage, and just straight up ignoring it five
That's
times
smart.
is pretty damn good. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's probably the Acorn, the Feather Duster are probably the main ones there. Sometimes I think I would start if I was really good at Tartarus. Once I got good at that, I would start with the coin purse from Hypnos and start with like
Oh,
when it
get
was
money.
maxed out, I would start with an extra 150 gold, so I could just get
Hmm.
more boons and then switch it out in Asphodel for a Feather Duster. So there's strategy there. There's a lot of strategy to those keepsakes. Weirdly
I think I'll
enough,
probably try to level up some of those things today then,
yes, they help
or at
a
least
lot. And then
start the road. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other mirror stuff. I was trying to think of the mirror choices. I usually took the one that healed me 3 after every.
Yep. Hmm.
That was pretty good. It's just a nice. I think that's close to 100 extra health by the end of the run. Because I think there's like 12, usually 12 chambers per area. And then there's a bunch in sticks actually because of how sticks is set up. Just small,
Hmm.
quick things, and you get 3 life every time. Every small chamber. So it's worthwhile. Yeah. Good luck to you though.
Well, yeah. Thank you. I feel like I'm on the cusp of beating Asphodel. I think that's the third level, right?
No, Elysium is the third one.
Elysium. Okay, yeah. I'm on the cusp. I've gotten back there quite a few times, and I feel like I'm getting there. So I would really like to finish a run so we can.
Yes.
I feel like I can properly put it on my list,
So you can finish a run and then realize, oh, I'm not done with the game, even close.
and that's fine. I understand that completely. But I do want to wrap it up.
Yeah.
In terms of like finish a run. Because I'm just trying. I'm playing through a few different things right now. Just kind of like thinking about game of the year. Like I wanted to get some Immortals under my belt. I wanted to get Hades a bit more. I wanted to load up Last of Us 2, which is the last thing I'll talk about here. It's fucking incredible. Story wise, like the tension between like the gameplay and then the story is really cool. Voice acting, of course, is top notch. I hit Seattle day one and kind of just bounced. And I
Oh.
have not had the motivation to come back because it opens up and it's kind of
Yep.
it's open world ish. You can kind of decide where you're going, what you want to do a little bit. And I was really just looking for like that linear, like tell me where to go. Let's keep going. So it was an easy place for me to like come back to, and I was surprised that I stopped playing because I really was really enjoying it. But I've wanted to, play one out with Travis, wanted to get Hades going, and just all these different like shorter experiences that are less intense. And then I started to realize, oh, it's the same thing I told you about off mic. I'm having trouble with dramatic television shows right now. I'm also having trouble with the tension and drama and stress of Last of Us 2,
I can only
which
imagine.
is a reason why I didn't pick it up in June June when it came out. I might not be able to play it right now, so which is fine. But that's that's kind of where I'm landing right now.
It's a hard game. It's a really hard game to get through. It was hard for me to even watch someone playing through it. Like there are sections of that game where I'm just like, I have to mute and close my screen, like minimize my screen right now because I cannot mentally handle what's happening on screen.
Yeah,
this is
a
lot.
That's kind of where I feel like I'm at, and I think I won't be. I hope I won't be a long break from it. Maybe it's just the open world part. I kind of want to push through that part and see if it's really just that. Like I want same thing that happened in Uncharted Lost Legacy, where it opens up into like this open worldish area where you can kind of like go around and do all these different things if you want to, and it's like I want to because I want to collect everything, and then I just get bogged down. And I'd rather just keep going forward. So we'll see.
No,
I might just skip it if I can.
You need the only thing I'll say in there. I'm not going to spoil anything about it. I just want you need to go find the music shop and go explore the music shop.
Ooh, okay.
And make sure that you play the instruments and play the guitar because it's a fucking amazing scene. Like,
oh, all right. Well, then I will do that.
I think to me the best scene of the entire game.
Oh wow.
But,
okay. Well, definitely.
Which is just it's a quiet, simple thing, but I'm just like, yeah, it's very somber, very nice, not stressful.
Well, when it's totally optional. You could miss it, right?
Yeah, there's no reason you have to go into that music store and
Okay. Well,
wander around and interact with things and just explore the entire thing. And I assume the cutscene will start at some point. I think you just because have you experienced playing the guitar in the game yet?
yeah, dude.
So there's a point. I think there's a place in there that has you play the guitar again, and then it goes into a longer cutscene, which is really cool.
Nice.
But the playing the guitar is really cool. Yeah, seems really.
Except for when I was streaming it, and when I showed my wife later, I wanted her to watch the first 10 minutes of it because it was just amazing, and she's just like, "This is fucking what video games are." It's like, "Yep." But I was just losing it because he unstrung the guitar so he can clean out the fretboard. Fine, that's great. Put the strings back on, man. That shit's gonna warp. And I was like, how long are those strings gonna be off? How far are you carrying that? How cold is it, man? You're gonna fuck up that Taylor. I was really stressed out about that, and I was like, I might be one of the few people who are giving a fuck about this. Just like put it. And I was like, where'd he get the strings from? Like when he carried it stringless to wherever he was going, and all of a sudden when he gave it to Ellie, it had strings on it. But I guess it was their encampment, and he had strings. I guess I don't know. I have to suspend disbelief. I'm sure.
Yes, you do.
Anyway, I've been bouncing around to a lot of different things, so that's my time this week.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing if you get through the critical path of Cyberpunk.
I think I will. It will be this week. I don't have work for the next 2 weeks, so I'm going to finish that.
I'm committing to Wednesday, and after Wednesday, I'm putting my thing on until January 4th. See ya. I will be back.
Yep.
But I had a bunch of bombs lobbed in my lap on Friday that are gonna. There's a lot to untangle. That was a mixed metaphor. I apologize, but I hope I'll be done by Wednesday.
Good luck.
Anyway,
cross my fingers.
Yeah, thanks. Not about video games though. And then happy birthday to Brad. I'm sure he's listening. He usually does. By the time this posts, it'll be his birthday. I think he's turning like 55 years old or something. So happy birthday to you, man.
That tracks.
All right, folks. This was episode 272 of Prof and Dev Play Games. If you like it, tell your friends. Please rate us on your podcast service of choice. And thanks for listening. See you next time.
Later, everyone.